Welcome to Earth Realistic Mode. Our hero is a single stroke of ink with big dreams and tiny needs. The rules are brutal but fair. No cartoon cheats, no middle direction changes, and gravity is locked at 9.81 meters per second squared whether he likes it or not. He waves to the audience, then immediately trips over a pebble because static friction finally has standards. Every footfall squeaks with Callum's stubborn law. Hearts pound. Coefficients glare. Today, the stick fight's not villains, but variables, and the variables brought clipboards. Data overlays hover on screen, like subtitles for reality, translating motion into meaning. First challenge, a canyon jump. Old stick would press up and sail like a paperclip on a breeze. Realistic stick meets air drag. Velocity spikes. Drag rises with v squared, and his optimism plummets at the same rate as his center of mass. We overlay vectors. Weight straight down. Drag opposite motion. Lift approximately 0 because he's not a wing. He's a doodle. He tucks to reduce cross-section, becoming the world's saddest aerodynamic teardrop. The HUD annotates every mistake with a calm diagram, which is somehow ruder than shouting. He sketches a ramp, then remembers ramps do not negotiate with energy conservation. Potential energy at the top becomes kinetic at the bottom, with taxes paid to roll-in resistance and bearing friction. The wheels squeal like a cheap shopping cart. Our HUD blinks. Pay equals MGH. K equals 1/2 MV squared. Losses equals heat he didn't ask for. He leans forward to keep the normal force happy and the ramps supportive. The lesson lands before he does. Gravity never sends refunds, only receipts. He breathes, recalculates, and tries again. Because experiments care more about repetition than ego. Collision time! He plants a springboard, expecting a glorious launch. The board flexes, stores elastic energy, and returns. Some of it? Reality insists on hysteresis. Coefficient of restitution rips the hype banner. E less than 1. He bounces, but lower. A thrift store trampoline with accountant vibes. We slow-mo the impulse. Force times contact time spreads the out. He learns to land softer, increasing T, reducing peak force, and preserving pixels that pass for bones. The narrator offers no mercy, only measurements, and the measurements are very punctual. Next, a door marked momentum. He tries to stop a rolling barrel by willpower. The barrel supplies MV and very little empathy. He presses, slides backward, shoes translating static friction into a valiant but insufficient vector. Momentum doesn't care about narrative arcs. It cares about conserved quantities. He pivots, turning translation into rotation, making the barrel spin as his own angular momentum keeps him upright. Smart? Yes. Stable. Devatable. Numbers poppy side, him units included because units are the tiny fences that keep chaos out. Speaking of rotation, he finds a ladder and ascends with caution. Center of mass must hover above the support. Polygon or gravity will file an immediate complaint. He reaches for a paint can, extending one skinny arm, shifting the calm beyond the rails. The ladder tips with theatrical honesty. He counterbalances with a fast leg swing, generating a stabilizing torque. The audience inhales. The math exhales. The can survives. His dignity, less so, but intact, within error bars. Each attempt writes a tiny lab report in the margins, inked in sweat and pride. Wind picks up. Our stick straps on a cardboard wing, dreaming of right brother glory. The HUD draws Bernoulli and Newton side by side like rival lawyers. Airflow meets angle of attack. Lift is born and drag doubles down. At low Reynolds number, it's all a bit mushy, but he finds a sweet spot before stalling, then yaws because he forgot vertical stabilizers are not optional. He faceplants gently. A reminder that lift without control is just a curated fall. The camera lingers on vectors and free body diagrams, turning doodles into decisions. Hydration break-in, a river. Buoyancy auditions, he displaces water, equal to his volume. Archimedes beams from off-screen. Unfortunately, a Stickman's volume is basically line. He sinks like a minimalist sculpture. Quick fix. He inflates a sealed bag, increasing displaced volume until raw water GV beats his weight. Now he floats, proud and chilly, discovering drag's other hobby. Making swimming painfully inefficient unless strokes respect streamlines. He keeps the jokes short, so the integrals can stay long. Balance is part of the assignment. Thermodynamics enters with a sunburned clipboard. He sprints under noon sun. Our meter shows metabolic power, convective cooling, and radiant heating. Sweat appears physics for the dramatic. Evaporation steals energy as latent heat, cooling him if air isn't sulking at 100% humidity. He picks shade, drops pace, and watches core temp fall like a resolved plotline. The voiceover whispers, power isn't infinite. Batteries and bodies both negotiate with entropy. The HUD annotates every decision, and entropy rolls its eyes. We tore materials! He crafts a bridge from spaghetti beams and hope. Load is applied. Stress divides by area. Strain replies with a yawn. Elastic region behaves, plastic region gossips, and then brittle failure makes a quick cameo. He swaps to a truss, triangles guarding against drama, distributing forces like a good moderator. The deck sags with intolerance. He walks across every step a finite element. Somewhere, a civil engineer nods and returns to their coffee. The camera hangs back, letting the geometry do the talking. Earthquakes! Not metaphorical, the ground actually shakes. He remembers drop, cover, hold, dives under a table, and learns resonance the fast way. The table's natural frequency matches part of the shake. Amplitude grows like gossip. He clamps to the leg, adding damping with his own squishy compliance. Oscillation dies to an embarrassed wiggle. He peeks out, grateful to viscous forces that turn kinetic motion into heat, and to wisdom that beats bravado on Tuesdays. The HUD flashes a calm diagram. Panic takes the hint. Back to locomotion. He tries sprinting with exaggerated knee lift, but discovers ground reaction force is the real MVP. Push time shortens, impulse shrinks, stride falls apart. He lengthens contact, engages ankle like a spring, and watches the calm trace smoother arcs. The graph looks like poetry written by a physics teacher. He's not just running. He's negotiating with compliance, stiffness, and timing. The deal closes with less slap, more glide, and fewer subtitles of pain. The soundtrack clicks like a metronome. Timing is physics. A friend rolls in on a bicycle. A gyroscope disguised as a commute. Angular momentum resists, tilting so small steering inputs self-correct the fall. Our stick learns counter steer push, right to go right, then trusts the magical non-magic of dynamics. At low speed, the charm fades. At higher speed, stability blooms. He lets go of the handlebars for 2 seconds, remembers gravity in 3, and reacquires the handlebars in 4. Victory, counted in millisecond. Somewhere, a cartoon sound effect files a complaint. We visit the kitchen for fluid experiments. He spins a mug of tea. Leaves drift to the center. Then, sync secondary flow meets boundary layers in a tiny weather system. He stirs slower, watching vortices relax, surface flatten, then wobble as capillary waves trace interference patterns. A droplet clings to the spoon, tension pulling like loyalty. He whispers, thanks to molecules for forming little teams. Surface physics, where every edge is dramatic and everything sticks around. The HUD smiles with a tiny ripple plot. Night falls. He tests visibility with headlights, realizing inverse square law makes light behave like a stingy landlord. Double the distance, quarter the brightness. Retroreflective tape returns raised toward the source. A polite party guest, he aligns angles, sees and is seen, and upgrades safety from anecdote to equation. Even shadows get a lesson pin. Umbras and umbras dance as extended sources smear edge it. He bows 2 photons. Tiny, fast, and famously, enough numbers pop up. Units attached like seatbelts. Rain. Frictions. Mood swings from static to kinetic. A soap opera plotline with mu-s greater than mu-k. He plants his feet, increases normal force by lowering stance, and slices velocity to keep required friction under the available cap. A slip still happens because learning. He turns the fall into a roll, trading translation for rotation, stretching impact over time and area. Parkour's secret isn't bravado, it's impulse management. Asphalt nods. Knees send a cautious thumbs up. The HUD circles T, like a coach circling footwork. Tools appear. Levers, pulleys, planes. He moves a heavy crate with a long bar, trading force for distance. Mechanical advantage says hello, and his spine says thank you. With a pulley, he halves input force while doubling rope length. Because the universe honors invoices on an inclined plane, he decomposes weight into parallel and perpendicular, then reduces effort by accepting a longer path. Work stays work. Power is the flex. Efficiency grins. Modest, but smug. He logs the win. Fewer oofs, same jewels. He faces sound another wave with opinions. A siren approaches. Pitch rises through Dopplers. Polite illusion. He claps under a bridge and hears a fat echo return, timing the gap to estimate distance like a Lobajet bat. Then he sings at a glass, prodding resonance. The glass replies with tiny amplitude, refusing to shatter because amplitude matters more than confidence. He logs a note. Matching frequency is cute. Delivering energy is commitment. The HUD draws a sine wave. Smug but helpful. Final trial. The big jump. Redesigned with honesty. Takeoff angle set near 45, but corrected for drag. Run up timed to maximize horizontal speed without gassing out the engine. He tucks at apex. Not to climb, but to slice drag on the way down. He lands into a roll. Elbows in. Chin tucked. Distributing force like a generous host. HUD flashes green. Injuries avoided. Dignity upgraded. Physics satisfied. The cheer feels earned, not scripted. Equations smile quietly. He exhales like a solved problem. Epilogue! Our Stickman doesn't defeat physics. He befriends it. The world remains stubborn, gravity tugs, friction nags, air resists, but now the rules are tools. He sketches with purpose. Arrows for forces, curves for paths, margins for safety. Tomorrow, he'll try the ocean again, this time with buoyancy in his corner and drag as a coach, not a bully. For now, he waves, tiny and triumphant, a line among laws. Proof that reality is less an enemy than a... The credits roll with units intact.